Thanks to my viewers and happy subscribers for your support. Please comment your city for a thank you gift. Enjoy the story. I remember like a scene out of a fevered dream, an electric, unyielding moment where reality blurred with the surreal. I was seated front row at the reunion tour, my heart pounding so ferociously that I was sure the rhythm of my pulse was in sync with the beat of the stage. The air was thick with anticipation, a tangible mix of excitement and trepidation that seemed to vibrate against the darkened theater walls. The lights dimmed, and in that suspended breath of time, the stage transformed into an altar of both glory and impending calamity. Then came the moment that would haunt me for years to come. Birdman, the iconic maestro's swagger and style, inexplicably slumped mid-performance. I watched transfixed as his eyes fluttered close, his body succumbing to a slumber that was as out of character as it was bewildering. It wasn't a graceful bow or a pre-planned theatrical pause. It was as if the weight of his storied career, the relentless pressure of expectation, had finally claimed him in one devastating, all-too-human moment. In that instance, the stage became a stage for the unthinkable, the collision of celebrity myth and human fragility. I could feel the energy in the room shift dramatically. Whispers turned into murmurs. Disbelief mingled with reluctant laughter as the crowd collectively processed what had just transpired. But beneath the surface of this public spectacle, I sensed that there was more to this collapse than mere exhaustion. Something deeper, hidden behind the polished veneer of a meticulously orchestrated tour, was at play. I'd learned later that the faltering of an icon on stage was not a random accident, but the prelude to a much darker and intricate drama. A drama woven into the very fabric of the tour's corporate machinations. That night, as I sat in the charged silence of the venue, my mind raced with questions. What if Birdman's apparent lapse wasn't due to a physical failure at all, but a deliberate move in a game of high-stakes corporate chess? Could it be that the tour, celebrated by fans and scrutinized by critics alike, was a front for deeper power plays and clandestine maneuvers among those pulling the strings behind the scenes? I was both captivated and disturbed by the thought, and even then, a spark of excitement ignited within me. The thrill of unearthing secrets that the glittering world of celebrity desperately tried to hide. I knew, in that suspended moment, that I was about to step into a labyrinth of revelations. With every beat of my heart, I felt the pull of a narrative that was destined to redefine not just a career, but the very essence of what it meant to be a part of this brutal, beautiful industry. And so, as the echoes of the crowd's incredulous reaction faded into the night, I made a silent vow to uncover the truth, no matter how deeply it was buried beneath layers of corporate intrigue and personal ambition. In the hazy hours following the fiasco on stage, I found myself backstage, navigating a world that was both foreign and fiercely familiar. Behind the shimmering facade of stage lights and adoring fans lay an underbelly of hushed conversations and clandestine strategies. A world where corporate titans and tour insiders scrambled desperately to control the narrative. I was not a mere bystander that night. I had become an unwilling confidant to secrets that pulsed with danger and ambition. The corridors behind the stage were draped in shadows, illuminated only by the flickering glow of emergency lights and the fervent glances exchanged among high-stakes executives. I listened closely as whispered conversations unfolded like a symphony of covert intentions. Every nod, every sidelong glance between polished suits and guarded smiles, spoke volumes of a web of power plays that stretched far beyond performance itself. It was in these hushed moments that I discovered the true pulse of the tour, one that beat with the tension of rivalries, betrayals, and desperate maneuvers. I remember leaning against a cold, unforgiving wall, my ears straining to catch snippets of dialogue about rebranding strategies and crisis management. I overheard a conversation that chilled me, discussions about controlling the fallout, covering up the incident, and even, disturbingly, hints that the mishap might have been orchestrated as part of a larger agenda. The language was clinical, yet laced with the urgency of a crisis, a reminder that in this world, nothing was ever as simple as it appeared. I soon realized that I was privy to confidential strategies and desperate maneuvers that very few would ever witness. It was a masterclass in corporate intrigue, a high-stakes game where the players, cloaked in impeccable suits and rehearsed smiles, risked everything to maintain their power and protect their interests. I found myself in the thick of it, my role as an insider both exhilarating and perilous. Every whispered word felt like a key unlocking another door, revealing a cascade of secrets that threatened to upend the carefully constructed world of celebrity and corporate control. As I absorbed the gravity of the situation, I couldn't help but reflect on the irony of it all. Here I was, an unsuspecting chronicler, thrust into a narrative that was as much about the high-wire act of public image as it was about the stark realities of ambition and greed. I saw executives pacing in cramped corridors, their eyes darting nervously as they coordinated last-minute damage control. I witnessed aides scurrying to relay urgent messages, their expressions betraying a mixture of panic and resolve. Every detail, every hushed exchange, added layers to a story that was both larger than life and painfully intimate. In that chaotic backstage world, I found a rare clarity. The collapse on stage was not an isolated incident. It was a catalyst that exposed the intricate interplay of power, strategy, and vulnerability. And I knew that what I had witnessed would forever alter my understanding of this glittering yet treacherous industry. With a heavy mix of determination and trepidation, I resolved to delve deeper, to peel back the layers of deceit and ambition that cloaked the tour in mystery. What I discovered behind the curtain was only the beginning, a prelude to a corporate conspiracy that would soon unfold in ways I could scarcely have imagined. The following days were a maelstrom of clandestine meetings and hushed phone calls, a dissonant symphony of chaos that resonated in every dimly lit boardroom and sterile conference space. I found myself drawn into an intricate labyrinth of corporate intrigue, where sponsors and managers battled with the ferocity of seasoned generals. The stakes were astronomical, and every move, every decision, was a calculated risk in a game where the rules were as fluid as they were ruthless. I recall the scene vividly. A sprawling boardroom bathed in the cold glow of fluorescent lights, its long table crowded with individuals whose polished exteriors belied a volatile undercurrent of ambition. The air was heavy with tension as discussions veered between frenzied debates about ticket sales and meticulously orchestrated plans to salvage the tour's image. Frantic emails and offhand comments cascaded like dominoes, each interaction laced with the unmistakable scent of desperation. It felt like watching a high-stakes chess match where every participant was willing to sacrifice a pawn to secure a queen. In the midst of this corporate battlefield, I became an unwilling chronicler of the absurdity and raw intensity of it all. I watched as marketing executives, with their slick presentations and rehearsed assurances, clashed with financial strategists who viewed every misstep as a potential liability. There was an undeniable irony in the situation. A celebrated tour, designed to evoke nostalgia and exuberance, had now become a forum for ruthless power plays and backdoor negotiations. The very essence of celebrity culture, once synonymous with glamour and spontaneity, was being dissected and repackaged in the sterile language of profit margins and risk assessments. I remember one conversation in particular, a hushed exchange between two senior managers that left an indelible mark on my mind. They spoke of image recalibration and narrative control, as if they were discussing quarterly earnings rather than the collapse of a live performance. Their words were both chilling and mesmerizing, a reminder that beneath every public spectacle lay a complex tapestry of hidden agendas and calculated maneuvers. It was in these moments that I realized the incident on stage was not an unfortunate accident, but a spark in a much larger conflagration, a premeditated move in a game where the board was set long before the first note was played. Every whispered secret, every hurried step in the corridors of power confirmed my suspicions. This was a world where the line between art and commerce blurred into irrelevance, where a single misstep could be weaponized to reshape fortunes and fates. I began to see the tour not just as a series of concerts, but as an elaborate stage upon which corporate ambition played out in real time. The absurdity was almost comical, a blend of frantic digital correspondence, veiled threats, and the kind of backstage whisper campaigns that one might expect in a spy thriller rather than a celebration of music. As I pieced together the fragments of what was unfolding, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was witnessing a conspiracy of monumental proportions. Every maneuver, every strategic retreat or aggressive advance, hinted at an underlying design that transcended mere misfortune. It was as if the collapse on stage had been engineered as part of a master plan, one that sought to leverage the chaos for profit, power, and an unyielding hold on public perception. And in that moment of clarity, I knew that I had to navigate this treacherous landscape with caution, for the secrets I uncovered could very well be the catalyst for a narrative that was bigger, darker, and far more consequential than anyone had yet imagined. The night of the performance still haunts me, a surreal mosaic of frozen time, gasps, and a cascade of emotions that defied easy explanation. I can recall with unnerving clarity the precise moment when Birdman's eyes closed. It was not a graceful, deliberate gesture. It was abrupt and startling, as if a switch had been flipped in the middle of an intricately choreographed act. The lights danced around him, capturing his fall from vigor to vulnerability in a heartbeat, and the audience was instantly transformed from rapt anticipation to a collective state of disbelief. In that charged instant, the atmosphere in the venue shifted dramatically. I could sense a collective gasp of the crowd morph into an uneasy laughter, a macabre blend of panic and dark comedy that resonated both on stage and backstage. The unexpected slumber of an icon in the midst of the performance was absurd, yet profoundly human. It was a moment that encapsulated the fragility of celebrity. No matter how elevated one might seem, the human condition remains inescapable. Behind the scenes, the panic was even more palpable. I remember scrambling through corridors where aides and executives alike were grappling with the unfolding disaster. Their faces were etched with a mixture of disbelief and urgency, a stark contrast to the polished calm expected of high-power professionals. In the midst of this chaos, I received a cryptic message from a shadowy insider, a single, enigmatic sentence that hinted that the fall was no accident at all. The words were as elusive as they were ominous, leaving me with a gnawing sense of foreboding. A dark orchestration was at work, and I was now entangled in its web. As the minutes ticked by, the scene on stage transformed into an impromptu theater of the absurd. Fans, once united in adoration, now exchanged bewildered glances and murmurs of disbelief. Social media erupted into a frenzy, with every post and tweet attempting to decipher the meaning behind Birdman's collapse. Amid the swirling chaos, I stood at the epicenter, absorbing every detail, every nuance, like a conductor trying to decode a symphony of calamity. There was a grim humor in it all, a cosmic joke played out on a stage that was meant for celebration but had become a canvas for unanticipated tragedy. I felt an overwhelming sense of irony as I watched the unfolding disaster. Here was an event meticulously designed to evoke nostalgia and unity, now reduced to a scene of corporate dysfunction and human vulnerability. In that moment, I realized that this wasn't merely about a tired performer succumbing to the weight of his own legend. It was about the fragility of a carefully constructed myth. The lights, the music, the adoration of thousands, all had been part of a grand illusion that could shatter in a single, unpredictable moment. Even now, as I recount the events with the clarity of hindsight, my mind replays that night in vivid detail. The haunting image of Birdman, eyes closed in a fleeting moment of vulnerability, serves as a powerful reminder that in the realm of celebrity, even the most revered figures are not immune to the caprices of fate. And with that realization, I was left with one burning question. If this was merely a staged accident, what deeper machinations lay hidden behind the curtain of this so-called collapse? In the aftermath of the catastrophe, as the dust of disbelief slowly settled, I found myself at a crossroads, a moment of reckoning that forced me to confront not just the chaos around me, but my own inner demons and aspirations. What began as a seemingly random misfortune soon evolved into a crucible for my career, a turning point that demanded resilience, introspection, and a willingness to embrace the very vulnerabilities that had once paralyzed me. In those turbulent days, every conversation, every sleepless night became a lesson in survival. I started to see the disaster not as a moment of failure, but as a catalyst for reinvention. I took calculated risks and embarked on covert maneuvers, each step carefully designed to navigate the labyrinth of corporate politics that now defined the aftermath of the tour. It was a transformation born of necessity, a metamorphosis where the underdog, the observer, evolved into a strategist capable of turning chaos into opportunity. I confess that the emotions were raw and unfiltered. There were moments when despair threatened to swallow me whole, moments when the weight of the unfolding conspiracy seemed insurmountable. But in those very moments, I discovered an inner strength I never knew I possessed. I realized that the same passion that had driven me to uncover the truth could also fuel my comeback. Every setback, every whispered doubt from shadowy executives and dismissive critics became a stepping stone toward a grander vision. The personal toll was immense, yet liberating. I began to see the intricacies of corporate warfare not as barriers, but as challenges that could be dismantled with strategic precision. I learned to harness my vulnerabilities, to let them inform my decisions rather than define my limitations. With every late night spent poring over confidential emails and every hushed conversation in forgotten corridors, I forged a plan, a blueprint for resurgence that was as daring as it was calculated. This journey, steeped in both personal and professional risk, redefined my identity. I was no longer just an observer or a chronicler of celebrity drama. I had become an active participant in a high-stakes battle for truth and power. The very incident that had seemed to signal the downfall of an icon was, in fact, the spark that ignited my own transformation. I embraced the role of the underdog, channeling my inner fire into a comeback that was both poignant and powerful. Looking back, I see how each moment of despair was interwoven with threads of opportunity, a tapestry of challenges that ultimately led me to realize that even in the depths of corporate betrayal and personal vulnerability, redemption was possible. My calculated risks and the covert maneuvers I orchestrated were not just survival strategies. They were a declaration of defiance against a system that thrived on deception and exploitation. I was determined to emerge not only unscathed, but stronger, wiser, and more resolute in my pursuit of truth. In those reflective hours, I felt the gravity of the transformation, a shift that was as emotional as it was strategic. The taste of failure, bitter yet illuminating, had given way to the sweetness of resurgence. And as I prepared to step back into the fray of this unforgiving industry, I carried with me the lessons of that fateful night, a reminder that every disaster, no matter how devastating, can be the impetus for a remarkable comeback. Now, as I stand at the precipice of a future cloaked in uncertainty, the echoes of that fateful night continue to reverberate through my every thought. The disaster on stage was merely the opening act of a much larger, enigmatic drama, a drama that promises to upend the established order of celebrity and corporate influence. The revelations I've unearthed, the intricate web of conspiracies that has gradually come into focus, all point toward a future where the truth is as elusive as it is transformative. I cannot help but wonder, what comes next when facade of glittering success crumbles to reveal a labyrinth of hidden alliances, covert power struggles, and secret agendas? Every whispered conversation, every hurried step in those dimly lit corridors has hinted at an even more expansive network of intrigue lurking behind the glamorous veneer of the tour. The collapse was not an isolated mishap. It was a spark that ignited a conflagration of corporate deception and strategic maneuvering that could shake the very foundations of this industry. As I reflect on my journey, from that unforgettable opening to the corridors of backstage intrigue, to the heart of the corporate conspiracy, I am struck by the sheer audacity of it all. I have been both a reluctant witness and an active participant in a saga that defies conventional narratives. The power plays, the calculated risks, and the raw emotional truths that have defined this experience leave me with a singular, burning question. Will the truth behind the tour's collapse ever be fully exposed? And if so, what will it mean for everyone caught in this whirlwind of ambition and deceit? The future remains uncertain, shrouded in a haze of unresolved conflicts and secret alliances. Each day brings with it new revelations and unforeseen challenges, a constant reminder that in this high-stakes arena, nothing is ever truly settled. As I prepare to continue my own fight for redemption and clarity, I invite you to stay with me, to bear witness as the layers of this vast conspiracy are gradually peeled away. There's an undercurrent of hope amid the chaos, a belief that even in the darkest moments, truth has a way of emerging, transforming the landscape of power and influence. And so, I leave you with a tantalizing cliffhanger, a promise that the journey is far from over. The story of Birdman's collapse, of a tour that was supposed to be a celebration of music and unity, has now become a microcosm of a much larger battle, a battle where the stakes are as personal as they are political. As I continue to navigate this treacherous terrain, I ask you to reflect on this. In a world where nothing is as it seems, what price must be paid for truth? And who will ultimately emerge victorious in this relentless game of shadows? Thank you so much for watching and supporting Scaling Stories. Your likes, shares, and comments mean the world to us and help keep this channel thriving. If you're already a subscriber, we truly appreciate you being part of our community. Your engagement motivates us to bring you more gripping and thought-provoking stories that could spark positive change in your life and in society as a whole. For those who haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you join our growing community. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you'll be the first to know when we release new content. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. And if you have a story that you'd like to see shared on our channel, feel free to send it to the email address provided on our channel. Your story could be featured and shared with our community. And if you think this story was crazy, wait until you hear what we uncover about what might just be the next big celebrity scandal. A scandal that promises to shatter the carefully constructed facades of power and fame. The storm is only just beginning, and together, we're going to witness every twist, every turn, as the truth unspools before our eyes. In this swirling vortex of uncertainty, remember, every end is merely the beginning of a new chapter. Stay tuned, keep questioning, and never stop seeking the truth.